because you are one of my heroes in education, Deb. And I hope every time this award is given, we have another chance to contribute to you. And thank you, FairTest. FairTest does such great advocacy in education around fair and just testing practices. And I also feel privileged to accept this award alongside Lani Grenier. It's wonderful to see all of you here. Thank you so much for coming. I'm so surprised by so many people who I didn't know were coming. You never told me you were coming. People told me they weren't coming. But no one told me that they were, so I'm thrilled. So many family and friends and comrades in the struggle to reclaim excellent public education for all, and not just some of our children. When I was invited to be here tonight, I thought about the many people who work for justice and equity in education, most of you, who could be standing right here, and I'm thinking of all those people now, and I accept this award on their behalf. All the educators dedicated to children and what's fair and best for children. I have loved my life's work. I have loved teaching teachers about how young children think, how they learn, how they grow socially, emotionally, morally. I've been fascinated with the theories and the science in my field and seeing it expressed in the actions and the play of children. So never in my wildest dreams could I have foreseen the situation we find ourselves in today, where education policies that do not reflect what we know about how young children learn could be mandated and could be followed. We have decades of research in child development and neuroscience that tells us that young children learn actively. They have to move and use their senses and get their hands on things and interact with other kids and teachers, create, invent. But in this twisted time, young children starting public pre-K at the age of 4 are expected to learn through what they call rigorous instruction. And never in my wildest dreams could I have imagined that we would have to defend children's right to play. Play is the primary engine of human development. It's universal as much as walking and talking. Play is the way children build ideas. It's how they make sense of their experience and how they feel safe. Just look at all the math concepts at work in the intricate buildings of kindergartners. Or watch a 4-year-old put on a cape and pretend to be a superhero after witnessing some scary event. But play is disappearing from classrooms. And even though we know play is learning for young kids, we're seeing it shoved aside to make room for academic instruction and rigor. I could not have foreseen in my wildest dreams we'd have to fight for classrooms for young kids that are developmentally appropriate. Instead of active hands-on learning, children now sit in chairs for far too much time getting drilled on letters and numbers. Stress levels are way up among young kids. Parents and teachers tell me children worry, these are real things parents and teachers have told me. Children worry that they don't know the right answers. They have nightmares. They pull out their eyelashes. They cry because they don't want to go to school. Some people call this child abuse, and I can't disagree. I could not have foreseen in my wildest dreams we would be up against pressure to test and assess young kids throughout the year in great excess, often administering multiple tests to children in kindergarten and even pre-K. Now when young children start school, they often spend their first days not getting to know their classroom and making friends. They spend their first days getting tested. Here are words from one mother as this school year began. My daughter's first day of kindergarten, her very first introduction to elementary school, consisted almost entirely of assessment. She was due at school at 9:30 and I picked her up at 11:45. In between, she was assessed by 5 different teachers, each a stranger, each asking her to perform some specific task. By the time I picked her up, she did not want to talk about what she had done in school. But she did say she didn't want to go back. She did not know the teachers' names. She did not make any friends. Later that afternoon, as she played with her animals in her room, I heard her drilling them on numbers and letters. The most important competencies in young children can't be tested. We all know that. Naming letters and numbers is superficial, and it's almost irrelevant in relation to the capacities that we want to help them develop. Self-regulation, problem-solving, social and emotional competence, imagination, curiosity, initiative. These capacities make or break success in school and in life, but they can't be reduced to numbers. Yet these days, all the money and the resources, the time dedicated to professional development, they go to tooling teachers up to use the required assessments. Somehow the data gleaned from these tests is supposed to be more valid than a teacher's own ability to observe children and understand them and their skills in the context of their whole development in the classroom. The first time I saw for myself what was becoming of many of the nation's early childhood classrooms was when I visited a program in a low-income community in North Miami. Most of the children there were on free and reduced lunch. There were 10 classrooms. They were kindergarten and pre-K. The program's funding depended on test scores, so no surprise the teachers were teaching to the test. Kids who got low scores, I was told, got extra drills in reading and math, and they didn't get to go to art. They used a computer program to teach 4- and 5-year-olds how to bubble. One teacher complained to me that some children go outside the lines. In one of the kindergartens I visited, it is funny at some level, in one of the kindergartens I visited, the walls were barren and so was the whole room. The teacher was testing one little boy at a computer at the side of the room, and there was no classroom aid, so the other kids were sitting at tables copying words from the chalkboard. The words were, no talking, sit in your seat, hands to yourself. These kids were 5. The teacher kept shouting at them from the testing corner, be quiet, no talking. Most of the children looked scared or disengaged, and one little boy was sitting alone, and he was quietly crying. I will never forget how these children looked or how it felt to watch them, I would say suffering, in this context that was such a profound mismatch with their needs. It's in low-income, under-resourced communities like this one where children are most subjected to heavy doses of teacher-led drills and tests. It's not like in wealthier suburbs where kids have the opportunity to go to early childhood programs that have play and have the arts and project-based learning. It's poverty. It's the elephant in the room that's the root cause of this disparity. A few months ago, I was alarmed to read a report from the Department of Education Office for Civil Rights showing that more than 8,000 children from public preschools across the country were suspended at least once in a school year, many more than once. First of all, who suspends a preschooler? Why and for what? The very concept is bizarre and awful. But 8,000? And then to keep reading the report to see that a disproportionate number of those suspended preschoolers were low-income Black boys. There is a connection, I know, between these suspensions and ed reform policies. Children in low-income communities are enduring play-deficient classrooms where they get heavy doses of direct teaching and testing. They have to sit still, quiet in their seats, and comply. And many young children can't do this, and none should have to. I came home from that visit in North Miami in despair. But fortunately, the despair turned quickly into organizing. And with other educators, we started our nonprofit, Defending the Early Years. We have terrific early childhood leaders with us. Some are here tonight. Debbie Meier, Geraldine McLaughlin, Diane Levin, Ayla Gavins. Hey, will you guys stand up for a second? here tonight. We speak in a unified voice for young children. We publish reports, we write op-eds, we make videos, we send them out on YouTube, we speak and do interviews every chance we get. And we've done it all on a shoestring, and it's almost comical. The Gates Foundation has spent more than $200 million just to promote the Common Core, and our total budget, depending the early years, is 0.006% of that. We collaborate with other organizations. FairTest has helped us so much. Thank you. And we also work with Network for Public Education, United Opt-Out, many parent groups, Citizens for Public Schools, Busted Pencils Radio, Badass Teachers, Save Our Schools. There's a powerful network out there of educators, parents, and students, and we see the difference we're making. We see the difference we're making. And we share a common vision. Education is a human right, and every child deserves one. An excellent free education where learning is meaningful, with arts, with play, with engaging projects, and the chance to learn citizenship skills so that children can one day participate actively and consciously in this increasingly fragile democracy. Thank you for listening.